And then my parents threw the Book of Mormon at me and they're like, here, go read this. And I read it and I was like, well, this is a crock of shit.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, my pleasure.
I'm very excited to talk to you about all things books. Were you always a big reader growing up?
Well, my father forced me to read books when I was little because he knew I was going to be bad and I was very loud and precocious, and he wanted me to be at home where I couldn't get into trouble. So he made me read lots of big books when I was not mature enough to be reading them. I read Anna Karenina when I was 8 by Tolstoy. I read East of Eden by John Steinbeck when I was 8, and I read Moby Dick when I was 8.
And what did you get out of any of them?
Not much. I mean, I was really annoyed that he would, that he made me read them, and then I had to give book reports in the kitchen.
You did?
About the books, yes. In a way, I mean, it was miserable at the time, obviously, because I was 8, and all I wanted to do was, go to school and hang out with my friends. And then I'd go to school and they'd be like, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. And I'd be like, which one, China or Berlin? Like, I didn't know what, I didn't fit in at all because I was reading this heavy stuff. So, and then eventually, I think I faked that I had picked up Tourette syndrome at one point and came home and just cursed violently at him and told him it was a product of me reading too many serious books at an immature age and that I wasn't prepared for it, and that I wanted to just read Sweet Valley High and watch The Cosby Show.
What did the book reports look like? And were all your siblings, was it full family sit down and you're standing up, kind of presenting? What was
It was just to my father in the kitchen, just to torture me. I mean, yeah, we didn't hit it off, so he was constantly having me do things that I didn't want to do. But in the larger scheme of things, it turned out to be a great gift because I do love reading and I read all the time and I read tons of books. So he instilled that in me, but I'm still loath to thank him.
You were reading so much as a kid. Did you ever have any interest in writing? Did that take form?
I didn't have any interest in writing until someone suggested that I write a book. I never thought I would be a writer in any way, and I was telling my very first book, which was called My Horizontal Life, a collection of one-night stands. I was at dinner parties and I would tell these funny stories about different one-night stands and different mishaps and hookups, and somebody said, you should write all these stories down. They're ridiculous. And I thought, and then I read David Sedaris's book, Barrel Fever, and that's when I discovered that you could write books they could just be comprised of essays, and that you didn't really need a huge through line. So for my first few books, that's exactly what I did. I just wrote my funny stories and put them together in a way, and so we have David Sedaris to thank for my book career.
Well, talking about essay collections of your one-night stands, this is, I thought, really beautiful seeing your life through a self-improvement lens. There's a period where you really dive deeper into self-help, and one of the books you decided to bring today is Letting Go by David Hawkins. And I was curious about what resonated most with you about that book of the ones you read in that period.
Well, Letting Go, I think it's a deep book. It's very heavy, so you have to really be into it. But I think with everything, my kind of therapy evolution and the way my writing has evolved, and especially this book, which is very introspective and more of a kind of call to women to be sisters to each other. Say the thing that's uncomfortable, be the sister, show up when you don't want to, be honest with people, don't lie, don't cheat. You don't have to do any of that, and kind of grab hold of the best life that you can. Get after it. And I think what the David Hawkins Letting Go book really does is teaches you how to let go of the nonsense, how to let go of the small stuff, how to let go of hurt feelings, how to let go of guilt and shame and all of those things that we hold on to, especially as women, I think. I mean, I want to be free. That's how I felt since I was a little girl. I just wanted to grow up and be a woman and be free and get a job. I just wanted freedom. I never wanted to be a mother or a wife or any of those things. The word freedom was always kind of running around in me. And I think his book echoes what freedom really is, which is being free from any outside noise, being free from what other people say about you.
Was that something you were really struggling with? I mean, you are someone who appear so free and strong and confident in your choices, but was that outside chatter and noise something that really was weighing on you?
At times in my life it has, what other people say, or, you regret a lot of things in your past, or you overthink them or overanalyze things. And it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not a way to be. If you're in the past, you're not in the present. If you're worried about the future, you're not in the present. So the best gift you can give yourself is like present moment, mindfulness, like being aware in this moment, having a conversation and not being like, well, what am I going to have for lunch? I used to do interviews on Chelsea Lately, and if I had a boring guest, I'd be like, oh God, what am I going to have to eat later?
Yeah.
And my mind would be going all over the place. It's like the opposite of being present.
Yeah, there's an example in the book where it's like he's talking through, if you lose your job, you have to start mourning some of the small stuff first. I think it was like, you won't have that parking spot anymore, and that's okay, or that desk and all those things. But I guess if you could walk me through an example in your own life of like how if something you've let go of that's been really freeing.
Let go of relationships that didn't work out, let go of anger towards people, like letting go of all of that. You don't want to, like he talks a lot about in this book about when you have an emotion coming up, like fear or anger or jealousy. Mm-hmm. And to let that be, like let that feeling be in you, and the more honest you are about that feeling that you're having, the easier it is for it to go away.
Yeah.
So jealousy is something that can happen all the time, right? And that's not a negative thing necessarily. We're human beings. It's okay to look at someone else and go, God, I wish that happened to me, or but that, as long as you're not acting on the jealousy, that's okay. So it's okay to feel negative feelings. We all do, but don't let it run you.
Yeah.
And that's what I think the essence of his book is letting things come up, and then being honest about your feelings with yourself, and then just kind of letting them drift away.
I wasn't planning to talk about Circe by Madeline Miller next, but the concept of jealousy is really taking me there. Mm-hmm. We're all dealing with the same emotions.
Definitely.
Like jealousy and having crushes and hurt, and I don't know.
I thought that book was so beautifully written. Like Madeline Miller, the way she punctuates each paragraph and each kind of, like it's one of those books where you read a sentence and you put the book down and you're like, whoa, you feel like, oh my God, that was powerful. And it's such a beautiful, I'm not really into Greek mythology, but that book stood out to me so much. And it is about jealousy. I think so many of our themes in life come down to these kind of basic human emotions. And it's up to us to decide how are we going to deal with those in kind of a mature way, in a way that you're harnessing that as a power tool rather than letting it take you down.
Yeah.
And jealousy is obviously like a theme that everyone can relate to, but a lot of people aren't honest about that feeling.
Yeah, I think something that's been helping me a lot, like in therapy for myself, is just boiling emotions down to like the most basic of just like, I feel jealous, I feel sad, and not trying to over-intellectualize, I think has been like a real gift.
Right, and also like if you're angry, are you angry because you're scared? Is that fear that you're, usually anger is covering up some other smaller or a different emotion. So yeah, it's good to have that language and to understand. And it's also good for empathy when you're dealing with other people, because once you go to therapy and you get the gift of self-awareness, you're able to understand that everybody's dealing with something. And some people are a little bit farther along, or further along, I should say, than others in terms of their own self-work, and to have compassion for that.
Yeah, I've related to Circe in the fact that I think we've all just like have these moments where you're just like, you have such a crush, and that you would turn a fisherman into a Greek god if it meant that you could be there together. I was just like, wow, this has been happening for all of time and all of literature. But I guess my question is, what is the craziest thing you've ever done for a crush?
Oh gosh, what have I done? I've done a lot of crazy things for a crush. I mean, I announced once on television, this is in the book, that I wanted to be penetrated by the governor of New York.
Yes.
And yes, that was pretty outrageous, but for me, not really. Like, I had no problem doing that, but for others, it would have been outrageous. So, but then he contacted me a few days later, so that actually worked to my advantage. Although there was never any real penetration, I do look back at that moment fondly. And then being ghosted by him, I also look back at fondly because that worked in my favor as well.
I love the series of just you sending him all the unanswered selfies.
Yeah.
And I related to that as well. I think that's a very Cersei instinct. And then the other thing is, I guess, is revenge something that you've let go of so many negative emotions and you've really worked through this? Was that something that ever animated you in your past? Like
revenge? I don't know. Yes, that is a motivator when you're younger and you're less well versed in the school of life.
Yeah.
You want revenge. I find revenge to be one of those things that when you finally get it or the karma finally hits the person that did the thing to you, it's not nearly as gratifying as you imagine it to be when you're in your state of anger towards that person. But I did one, this isn't really vengeful or revenge, but I did once buy my ex-boyfriend. I knew I was breaking up with him, so I bought him 35 linden trees and from Germany, and he had this estate in upstate New York, and I had the trees set up to like create a little canopy that led to his house. It was like a long drive, and I gave those trees to him, not as revenge, but as a reminder, like, hey, I'm leaving, and I just want you to remember how amazing I was because you blew it. And so that was like kind of a revengeful thing, but not really like, an act, not in an act of anger, in an act of like, gotcha.
Sometimes like slight like really mindful pettiness, I think like we deserve that.
Well, and they're beautiful, they're trees. So, you can't really argue with nature, right? I'm adding to nature.
I think it's a win all around.
Thank you.
So Cersei really complements The Red Tent by Needa Diamond in that they're both reimaginings, reinterpretations of these epics to focus on some of the women who were certainly not in the forefront of those. Is that a genre you gravitate towards a lot?
As a woman, I like to read about women for sure. The Red Tent blew me away. My sisters and I read that book together.
Oh, really?
And I didn't really know anything about that history at that time. I must have read that like 25 years ago. But that book stayed with me just because of what it's saying, grabbing all these women and having them procreate so that they can steal their land.
I think I read the wrong Red Tent then.
Oh no!
So this is a different Red Tent.
Is it?
It's a reinterpretation of Dina from the Bible.
Oh my God, you're right. That is the right book. That's the book.
So you've read The Red Tent?
I have read The Red Tent. That's where everyone gets their period in the same tent.
Yes, and I was actually really excited to hear about you getting your period. Like, I was very eager to hear about your first period.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
I give a lot of people their periods. Anyone who sleeps in a bed with me usually gets their period.
Oh, so you're the head honcho.
I think it's because I have never had children, so I have all of my female juju is still within me. My friend's daughter, who was like 13 or 14, never got her period, and I had given 3 of my friends their periods who'd slept in the same bed with me. One of them was in menopause, and she got her period the next day. My other friend's daughter slept in bed with me. She got her period the next morning. So I had a friend who called me and was like, my daughter's dying to get her period. All of her friends haven't gotten her period.
Stop.
I was on tour, and she flew her daughter out, and she's like, okay, well, we're going to sleep in the room with you. And I sat there with my friend's daughter, and I was like, okay, she goes, so how do we do it? I'm like, you just have to sleep in bed with me. I'm like, it'll happen. And she got her period the next morning. I have something within me.
You'd be the first one dead in the Salem witch trial.
I know. I call myself Woman King.
So it's just blood on this. You wake up and it's blood on the
No, not me.
No,
I'm giving.
Yeah.
I'm just giving girls and women. I can name probably 6 or 7 people who've gotten their period who hadn't had their period.
That is quite the power. If I were to pick my superpower, I don't know that's the one that I would choose.
No, I know. But it's a very interesting one. Even my brother, when we were once on vacation, and he was like, I'm not sleeping with Chelsea because I'll get my period.
When did you get your period?
At 12.
That's how old I was, too.
Yeah.
I was like a little annoyed it came that early.
Oh, I was totally annoyed. My boobs came in overnight. I remember we went to a movie theater. I was with my sister Simone, and we were on Martha's Vineyard, and we went to go see, I forget what movie it was, but there was a strange man sitting next to me and he put his arm around me. And I remember looking at my sister and hitting her. And she looked at the man and was like, get off of her. And the next morning I had boobs and I got my period. And I blame that molester.
I blame him too.
Yeah.
So as I was reading about the red tent, I also saw that people now in LA will like create, there's like a group of people that do red tent ceremonies like on lunar cycles and stuff, and they'll all get together and just have like a big, I don't know, hormonal bash.
Yeah, I've heard about this as well.
Yeah, and I'm curious, you know, now hearing that you have the power to give people your period, I kind of think we're all like getting a little too woo-woo about our
period.
Yeah. Like, do you feel like I loved all fours and all, and, you know, and I think the conversations around perimenopause and all these things are so great, but I think we're all like getting a little too, like, it does, I don't know, a little too woo-woo about our period.
Well, listen, there was a lot of not talking about our periods and menopause for so many eons and millions of years that, you know, we have to make up for it. So it's just kind of like, it's swinging one way right now. And the book that I was thinking about is called A Thousand Wives, A Thousand Masters. 1,000 Wives, 1,000 Lives, 1,000 Masters. Anyway, the book that I was going on about before is that one, not that one.
So do you often read books with your sisters? Like,
yes, we do.
Okay, so what is that like?
It's really fun. We read, The Great Alone is one we read together, Kristen Hanna. We read Memoirs of a Geisha together, The Red Tent, many books. One of my sisters has severe ADHD right now, or ADD, I should say. She cannot read a book. So I keep sending her different books. I'm like, read this, just focus on this. And she's like, I cannot focus on a book. And I'm like, you need to read. Like, that is the most serious requirement I have of myself. Like, I have to be able to put my phone away and read a book. That's how I know I haven't lost my marbles.
It isn't, what I love about reading is it's like, reading and going to the movie theater, I feel like they're the only two times I can like truly put my phone away.
Yeah, because even when you're home watching TV, you're checking your phone every 10 minutes.
Were your sisters also as voracious of readers as kids, or did your dad only force that on you?
I don't believe he forced that on anyone but me.
Okay.
But my sisters do read, yeah. And we've always read books together, so that's nice. My friends in Whistler, I have a lot of friends that read books there too, so they're always coming over. When I moved into my house in Whistler, the previous owners left me like 35, 40 books.
Wow.
So I had to quarantine when I went there. It was during COVID. I had to quarantine for 2 weeks, and I read all 35 books in 2 weeks. And I felt like the king of the world. I was like,
God.
I had so much knowledge in my head after those 2 weeks that I was like, oh my God, this was like, you know, getting my master's in something. So I thought was a very nice gift. So if I ever sell that house, I'm going to leave all the books there for the person that buys it.
What were the highlights?
Well, there was a book on World War II called The German War. And that was a big one. That was about 1,000 pages. And that was a big highlight because I didn't realize all the moving parts of World War II. How many Polish people died, how many French people died, how many Russians, Americans, like over 75 million people died in World War II. Not only the Jews that were taken to concentration camps, but, you know, all of the people forced to fight in the front lines of a war that most people didn't want. So that was, and understanding the moving parts and how each country got involved. So that was really educational. I don't like soft stuff. I don't like soft fiction or, you know, like I like to learn something after I read a book. I want to have a little bit more of a base of knowledge.
So what are some genres that are no-goes for you?
I don't like fantasy. I don't like, typically, I like fiction if it's meaty and juicy, you know, if it's a real good author. But I don't like, like I don't want to hear about a girl falling in love with a guy and it's a love story. Like I don't care about that stuff. I need more meat.
Well, House of Mirth by Edith Wharton is most certainly not just about a girl falling in love and the, you know, happily ever after. When did you first read House of Mirth and why did you want to talk about it today?
House of Mirth, I think, is just a beautiful kind of depiction of society.
Yeah.
And it's timeless, even though it took place, I think, at the end, end of the 17th century, I think, in late 1800s, I think it starts out. And the main character is a comer. She wants to be in society. She wants to be accepted. She wants to find the right husband. She wants to go to the right parties. And it's very high society New York. And she's trying to immerse herself and insert herself into this. And it's not really gelling the way she wants to, and she ends up, well, I won't give it away for anyone who wants to read it, but I just found that book to be, first of all, the fact that it's called The House of Mirth. There's no mirth. It's quite dark, and it's just it's an example of the way society still is today. I mean, it's not as there's not such a chasm, like we don't have high society in the same way that we did in those days. I mean, at least I don't operate in those circles, but I just love what it says about like social culture, like what people are willing to do to be seen at the right spots and be seen with the right people, and how shallow that is.
Yeah. I mean, it's also high society like that, is you're saying it's not your world, but like Hollywood, it's pervasive.
Yeah.
I mean, even on social media, it's pervasive.
Absolutely.
The wanting that, it's just trickled down into new forms.
Yeah, I guess our high society probably would be Hollywood now in these days. Yeah.
With Lily's journey, it's so much about the intersection of money and love, and how those two can dictate so much. And having read your book in conjunction with it, I found it really interesting. Like, her lack of money inhibits like who she's able to be with, but you talk a lot really openly about being a woman with money and the ways that it can make men feel like, what is my ad value here? In a way, I found it so refreshing how candidly you speak about that, but it was also like, oh wow, we really can't win either which way.
Yeah, but you can win,
Right.
because your winning is up to you, Are you winning? I mean, that's really a personal decision. Are you living the life that you want to live? Like, The House of Mirth is a perfect example of somebody who is looking at society for their answers. They're looking to get in, and they think, oh, if I get in here, everything will be okay. Once I get to be with this guy, everything will be okay. If I marry this, and it couldn't be more untrue. And especially now, I feel like your job, and this is what my book is so much about, is finding out who you are. Who are you without anything? Mm-hmm. And what do you want? And are you on your way to getting it? Like, what type of woman do you want to be? What type of woman did I think I was going to be growing up? And am I following, that track? And when you fall off the track, are you aware that you need to get back on the track? It's all of those kind of elements, and that's somebody in The House of Mirth who's so lost. Lily's so lost. And it's like, I thought when I was writing my book, I want to inject confidence into all of the people that don't have it naturally. I want to inject optimism in dark times. Mm-hmm. I want people to know that there's always hope in the dark. And I would have liked to inject that to Lily, into that character. But that book to me stands as like almost, it's beautifully written by Edith Wharton.
Beautiful.
But it for me, that book is just kind of a what not to do, how not to live your life.
Very much so.
You're giving so many other people power.
We're not in the House of Mirth in the same way. The society does not persist, but the ways in which women's, like, there's still so much ceding of power, was, as much as I loved going back and, thinking about the ways in which themes like jealousy and stuff still persist, some of that was just like, I was like, oh, this is depressing. This is really, really hard.
Yeah. But I think the power of women is a subject matter that needs to be celebrated all the time, because the reason why we're in the situation we're in politically currently is because women are so powerful, mm-hmm. because women are finding out that being together is more powerful than being apart. Working together and being sisters to each other and to the rest of the world is more powerful than the opposite. And I'm proud to be alive during that time.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why men are so threatened, some men in powerful positions are so threatened, because they see that we're not going anywhere. That's why our rights are being taken away, or attempted to be taken away in some cases. And I have high hopes for women. We're not going anywhere. We are powerful, we are strong, and we are going to stick together. And there's not really anything anybody can do about that. So the situation right now is not ideal for women, but I don't believe that this is going to be permanent.
Yeah, I like the advice of your book which is that, to go back to the Jane Fonda aspect, is that we do really just have to be honest with each other. There's a power in uplifting, and then there's also a power in like radical, true honesty when it comes from a place of kindness.
Yes, and love. I mean, to be honest with somebody is to be loving.
Yeah.
To tell the truth to someone and say, hey, you're in a bad place right now, I want to help you, or hey, I'll tell you the truth about this situation. I think we could always use more honesty. And when Jane Fonda brought me to her house and sat me down and kind of told me about my bad behavior, she modeled for me exactly the type of woman that I wanted to be.
The last book that we have, The Little Liar by Mitch Albom. And what made you want to chat about that one today?
That book just was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it depicts basically the Holocaust, but in this almost fable type of way. So you're reading about the little boy, and Hitler's not Hitler. He's like the big bad wolf kind of. And it's about the Holocaust, but it's not as painful as other books I've read about the Holocaust. It kind of just shows how things can change. How you can tell someone a lie, and that lie can catch fire, and then people start believing that lie, and how the world can just become so different right before your eyes. So it's pretty prescient. I mean, it's reflecting on the past, but obviously something that many people are thinking about right now. And I think he did a beautiful job of using that little boy to kind of go through the world and go through the war and thinking he's doing the right thing, and then finding out in the end, oh my God, I've been telling a lie this whole time. It was just beautiful.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit more about your upbringing. You're Jewish, you're bat mitzvah, but your mom was Mormon.
She was Mormon when she met my dad, but she agreed to raise all of the children Jewish.
Okay.
I thought she was Jewish until I was 10 years old.
Oh.
And we would all go to like temple together. My mom would get up on the bima, she would sing Jewish songs. So I believed my mom was Jewish. And then when my brother passed away, I was 9 years old, and I found out my mom wasn't Jewish because she was trying to get buried in they were trying to buy plots around my brother at a Jewish cemetery for when they passed away, because my brother obviously prematurely died. And I heard my rabbi talking to my parents saying, well, Rita, my mother, would have to convert to Judaism. I'm like, convert to Judaism? I'm like, what are you? And my parents were like, she's Mormon. And I'm like, what is Mormon? Yeah. And then my parents threw the Book of Mormon at me, and they're like, here, go read this. And I read it, and I was like, well, this is a crock of shit. I came down and gave it to my mom. I'm like, you can't be serious. Like, this was written just a few years ago. Like, you can't just invent religion. And so, no, I didn't have a lot of respect for the whole Mormonism thing. I mean, I'm not a religious person. I think religion has, lots of problems, and it can be the basis of a lot of discrimination. So she wasn't a practicing Mormon. And then when my brother passed away, she went back to the church and started to really get involved with it again. And then my sister converted with her. One of my sisters became Mormon too.
Okay.
So there was a lot of undergarments in our household. Yeah, a lot of undergarments, no caffeine, silly rules that mean nothing.
I really like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, the television show. And one of the most fascinating things is like the cheat codes they use to still kind of get to feel a buzz. Like they'll go and put like 7 blends of sodas together, or they'll get Botox, but like have them like get put not under, but with laughing gas to feel high. Like there's always a workaround, I guess.
Yeah, well, if you know about their sexual practices, there's always a workaround.
Yes, I do. Did you read Book of Mormon cover to cover?
Of course, yes.
Yeah,
by that time I had primed myself with Moby Dick and Anna Karenina. So Book of Mormon I got through in like an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's even the fact that you could read like a 1,000-page book amid like 2 weeks of reading 36, I'm just very impressed by your appetite.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, it's either that or TV, and I watch plenty of TV, so this was a time that I devoted to books.
There's so much life in this book, in each of the books.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted to have a life like this when I was a little girl. And I think the reason why I start out with this letter from me as a little girl to my older self is basically, what did I want to be when I grew up? Like I had to think about like how I envisioned myself as an adult. Like I wanted this loud, brave life. I wanted to be somebody who stood up for something. I wanted to be somebody you could depend on, that was reliable, that was consistent. And so When you're a kid, like that's your true self. And we lose that part of ourselves as we grow up. And there have been many times in my life, which I also discuss, where I was off track, where I did forget about the woman that I wanted to be. And luckily, I had enough knowledge to always find my way back on the right track for me. And that in and of itself serves as such a great reminder that we are so powerful in our lives.
Now having done the work, writing it, what would that little girl think of your life today on the heels?
I mean, she'd be pretty thrilled.
Yeah, she'd be pretty thrilled.
The things have exceeded my imagination, that I'm able to afford to live such a vibrant life, and to be able to take so many people with me, so many friends, so many family members, that I get to share it with so many people is really the biggest gift.
Yeah.
I love to be generous. I love to share. I love to bring people to different places and show them an adventure. And like, I remember my sister was like, okay, we were figuring out what to do on New Year's Eve one year. And she was like, this party seems like it's going to be more fun, or this party. And I was like, wherever we go is going to be the most fun. Like, we're the fun. Just remember that. And I remember her looking at me going, well, you're the fun. And I was like, yeah, but if you're with me, you're the fun too. And she's like, I'm like, that's the attitude I want everyone to have about themselves, to know that you're bringing the party.
I feel like that's the affirmation I need to give myself. Like, you can be the party. You
are the party, not you can be. You are the party.
Good. That was a good note. That was a good edit.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much.